Good afternoon, Americans. This is your favorite alien in Bubba, here on the afternoon of Monday, May 24th, 2021, sitting in for Pa Harvey this afternoon. Stand by for commentary. Well, about 50 years ago, Mr. Paul Harvey did a commentary on Policeman. Now, when he did it, and the way he described the policemen were that a policeman had to be a gentleman, a family man, a judge, a lawyer, a doctor, an advocate, and a law enforcer, all in that order. And at the time, police had beats in the local cities, for most cities anyway. Like I said when I did it on Facebook a couple days ago, I grew up in the Panama Canal Zone, and we had Canal Zone police, which had their beats. And they were there for anything. In my case, I walked outside the white line, that's considered jaywalking. And I wasn't aware that I was outside the white line, so, because I was reading a book on the way there. They kind of crazy, walking across the street and reading a book, huh? Yeah. Well, the police blew his whistle and called me over, and he said, you were jaywalking. And I said, well, yeah, now I know. And he says, well, can't have this here. Consider this your first warning. So, but the policemen's also, they know the local butcher, the local druggist, the mailman, and the people that are in their beat. They're like the mailmen. They know them. And here's the problem. Even when Mr. Paul Harvey did this piece, the police were changing. Because in the 1970s, you started getting programs like Kojak and movies with Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry, like, you think you're going to get lucky today, punk? Yeah. And today, you got the Blue Bloods. Which 50 years later, they say punk, perp, and everything except for a human being. And the result that you had since the last 50 years, you had a lot of Mr. Floyds, a lot of Mrs. Breonna Taylors, a lot of Mr. Aubreys have all been part of the police problem. And the police have not been taught that you are there to defuse a situation, not to kill people. And when you have to use your weapon, it's a last resort, and you try to disable the person, not to kill him. Which, case in point, would be the lady over here in Brookline Center, Minnesota there, where she didn't understand that she had the gun for some reason or another instead of a taser. I can't understand that today because the feeling of a taser and a gun is a lot different. But she got the emotions get to her after 26 years on the job, supposedly, right? I've been there, done that. And I never used a weapon to kill. I've used other weapons to disable. And you don't use a taser to disable like they did over in North Carolina and other places either. And Mr. Paul Harvey, he was trying to paint a policeman, which he doesn't get much money. But he doesn't get any training at all either here lately. Because a policeman, in the case of Brookline Center, And in the case of Mr. George Floyd, let's go one at a time here, people. In the case of Brookline Center with the lady who shot the guy in the car, she knew he had warrants. She could have told him. And she knew she had his address, driver's license, and car plate. And she should have warned him because she was training an officer. Two ladies and one guy with a weapon, the car. And she had a weapon, the gun. By the time he got the car to be used as a weapon, he would have been dead anyway. Because she drew her gun, and without even thinking about disabling the car, she fired into the car. That to me merits a manslaughter charge. And Mr. Paul Harvey did not understand that in the 1970s because the policemen were supposed to be policemen. They weren't supposed to be judge, jury, and executioner, which is what policemen are today. They weren't supposed to be us versus them, which is what today is. A policeman is a member of the community. He is there to make sure the laws are followed. Enforce the laws, and that's where you have to understand the meaning of law enforcement. It does not mean use force to enforce the law. It means you tell the people, you give them a chance. Like this guy here. You got 2 warrants. We know where you are. You got 24 hours to surrender yourself either to us or to the district attorney. That's what she should have told them. And notify both your precinct and the district attorney's office that this guy is there. And because I didn't want to escalate the situation, I let him go. Okay? They didn't do that. That's part of being a policeman. Mr. Harvey tried to tell you that 50 years ago when he did this piece on the policeman. A policeman gets paid next to nothing compared to, say, a fireman or a baseball player, a lawyer, a doctor. And yet they go out there and put their life on the line for said communities. Today's police, and there's a lot of bad apples, use the badge to enforce. And that's not what the badge was meant for. The badge must be there for safety, not for enforcement. You still have to look after the laws, but law enforcement and law abiding is different meanings than what you understand today. You don't have the comprehension of those meanings at all here in America. And Mr. Harvey, if you listen to me upstairs, this is the favorite alien in Bubba sitting in for you today saying, unfortunately, the Americans, both the police and the community, the government, and the people don't understand what policing is anymore. Good day.